Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the stage where we've been celebrating from Dr. Seuss's Natural Tale a Fairy Tale Day. Today, yours, mine, ours, and anybody's favorite true special superhero star of Dr. Seuss on the PBS and the PBS Kids, the Cat in the Hat, who like to share to each any one of us. So, without further ado, please put your hands together for Mr. Cat in the Hat. Take it away, Cat. Thank you, Wayne Wallace, the super villain eater. And yes, this is I, your favorite true special superhero star of Dr. Seuss on PBS and PBS Kids, the Cat in the Hat. Today, I would like to tell you all with your favorite and my favorite and my whole family of cats' favorite, Puss and Boots. It's about the story about a cat who helped his master to fall in love with the princess. And he had to defeat about that wicked magical ogre, where it turned itself into an animal. So, today on this Dr. Seuss's The Natural Tell a Fairy Tale, Fairy Tale Day, that is, I will tell you all a good story about Puss and Boots. Now, are you all sitting comfortably? Good, then I'll begin.
This is the story of Puss in Boots. There once was a man who died and left his estate to his 3 sons. To the oldest he left his mill, the second his donkey, and to the youngest he left nothing but the cat and an empty bag. Needless to say, the poor young fellow was not very happy about that. "My brothers will be able to make a fine living by joining what they have," he said. "But once I have skinned and eaten the cat, I will die with nothing." The cat, who heard all this, said to him with a grave and serious air, "Do not be so hard on yourself, my good master. If you will give me your bag and have a pair of boots made for me, you shall see that you don't have it so bad after all." Though the cat's master did not believe what he said, he had often seen him play a great many cunning tricks to catch rats and mice, as when he used to hang by the heels or hide himself in the corn and make as if he were dead. In the end, he figured there was nothing to lose, so he gave the cat what he asked for. The cat looked quite gallant in the boots, and after putting the bag around his neck, he held the strings of it in his 2 forepaws and went into a hole where there was a great abundance of rabbits. He had put some oats in his bag, and stretching out as if he were dead, the cat waited for some young rabbits to come and rummage through the bag. Scarcely had he lain down, but he had what he wanted. A rash young rabbit jumped into the bag, and the cat immediately drew close the strings and killed the rabbit without pity. Proud of his prey, he went with it to the palace and asked to speak with His Majesty, the King. he was shown upstairs into the king's court, and, bowing low, said to the king, "I have brought you, sir, a rabbit, which my noble lord, the Marquis de Carabas," for that was the title which the cat fictitiously gave his master, "has commanded me to present to your majesty from him." "Tell your master," said the king, "that I thank him, and that he does me a great deal of pleasure." Another time, the cat went and hid himself among some standing corn, holding the bag open, and when a flock of partridges flew into it, he drew the strings and so caught them all. Again he made a present of these to the king, as he had done before with the rabbit. The king received the partridges with great pleasure, and ordered a servant to give the cat some money. The cat continued for 2 or 3 months to take the king gifts in the name of his master. One day in particular, he knew for certain that the king was to travel along the riverside with his daughter, the most beautiful princess in the world. The cat said to his master, "If you follow my advice, your fortune will be made. You have nothing else to do but go and wash yourself in the river, in the place I show you, and then leave the rest to me." The boy did what the cat advised him to do, without knowing why. While he was washing himself, the king passed by, and the cat began to cry out, "Help! Help! My lord Marquis de Carabas is drowning!" The king put his head out of the coach window, and finding that it was the cat who had so often brought him gifts, he commanded his guards to run immediately to the assistance of Marquis de Carabas. While they were hauling the poor Marquis, the boy, out of the river, the cat came up to the coach and told the king that while his master was washing, they were set upon by thieves, who went off with his clothes and money. Of course, the cunning cat had buried the old tattered clothes in a hole. The king immediately commanded a servant to run and fetch one of his best suits for the Lord Marquis de Carabas. The king immediately liked the lad, and because the fine clothes he had given him fit so well, and showed how very handsome he really was, the king's daughter fell deeply in love with him. The king invited him to come travel the rest of the way, and the cat, quite overjoyed to see the success of his deception, marched out in front of the carriage. Along the way, there were men plowing in a field, and the cat said to them, "Good fellows, if you tell the king that the field in which you are working belongs to the Marquis de Carabas, you shall receive a handsome reward. But if you refuse, you will be sorry you were ever born." Sure enough, the king asked to whom the field belonged.
"To my lord, Marquis de Carabas,"
they answered together, for the cat had frightened them well. "You see, sir," said the cat, "this is a field which never fails to yield a plentiful harvest every year." The master cat, who then continued on ahead, met with some pickers in an orchard, and he said to them, "Good fellows, if you tell the king that the orchard in which you are working belongs to the Marquis de Carabas, you shall receive a handsome reward. But if you refuse, you will be sorry you were ever born." Sure enough, the king asked to whom the orchard belonged.
"To my lord, Marquis de Carabas,"
replied the pickers. and the king was pleased with the Marquis, whom he congratulated. The cat, who went on ahead, said the same words to all he met, and the king was astonished at the vast estates of Lord Marquis de Carabas. The cat came at last to a stately castle, the master of which was a wealthy ogre, the richest ever known. Indeed, all the lands which the king had passed through belonged to this castle and this ogre. The cat knew that the ogre was able to change into any creature, and he asked to pay his respects to him. The ogre received him, as civilly as an ogre could do, and asked him to sit down. "I've been informed," said the cat, "that you have the gift of being able to change yourself into all sorts of creatures, such as a lion or an elephant."
That is true. And to convince you, I shall now turn myself into a lion.
Puss was so terrified at the sight of the lion so close that he immediately jumped into the rafters. After a few moments, the ogre resumed his original form and laughed wickedly at the frightened cat. When the cat had composed himself, he then said, "I have heard that you also have the power to take the shape of the smallest animals. For example, to change yourself into a rat or a mouse. But I believe this is impossible."
You think it's impossible, huh? We'll see about that.
In the blink of an eye, the ogre changed into a tiny mouse. And the cat wasted no time in pouncing on the little creature and gobbling it up. Meanwhile, the king was passing by this fine castle of the recently eaten ogre, and had a mind to go into it. The cat, who heard the approaching coach over the drawbridge, ran out, and said to the king, "Your Majesty is welcome to this castle of my Lord Marquis de Carabas." "What?" cried the king. "My Lord Marquis? And does this magnificent castle also belong to you? There can be none finer in the whole realm, and it would please me to go in and see it." The boy gave his hand to the princess, and followed the king, who of course went first. They passed into a spacious hall, where they found a magnificent feast. The recently departed ogre had just prepared it for his friends, and they were to visit him that very day, but dared not enter, knowing the king was there. And so, His Majesty the King was perfectly charmed with the good qualities of the young man who had begun with nothing but a cat. A cat, nevertheless, who had a great many qualities himself. From that day forward, the Marquis de Carabas had his fortune made. The princess had herself a fine husband. The king a son-in-law of great wealth. And what of the Puss in Boots? I can tell you that he became great enough in his own right, so that he never had to chase after mice again.
Thank you, my friends, and ours and anybody's favorite, true special, superhero star friends. I'm really glad you all really enjoy it when I tell you all a story about Puss in Boots. And we got 6 more days. No, that's a fault. I messed up. We got 5 more days for Dr. Seuss's birthday. Are y'all really excited? I know I am. We will meet you guys there for the library or the restaurant, where we will celebrate from Dr. Seuss's birthday on March 2nd. And also, Porky Pig is having a birthday too. So the two of them are having a birthday in March 2nd. I will see y'all real soon for Dr. Seuss's birthday on March. Have a good time, everybody. Be safe, be kind, and what do y'all think? All the things you could think, if only you try. Good night, everybody.